So today's World Menopause Day, an important chance to shine a spotlight on an issue affecting millions of women. Menopause isn't just about hot flushes and mood swings. Fluctuating or falling hormone levels can cause anxiety, heart palpitations, hair loss, aching limbs, insomnia, and brain fog. Some women find they have to give up work, and many go to their GPs searching for answers and aren't given the right advice or medication. So what can be done to support women going through the menopause? Well, with me now is a menopause specialist based here in West Yorkshire, Katy Draper from the Women's Health Clinic in Leeds. I mean, as it is World Menopause Day, what do you hope people get out of today?
So it's about spreading awareness, I think, and education, and to try and break down some of the taboos around the fact that this needs to be a more open conversation.
We're generally a bit better at talking about our health, less stigma about, for example, mental health. Does the same apply to the menopause? Has there been progress in that regard, or is it still, you mentioned the word taboo, is that still the case for the menopause?
I think we're making progress. I think there's probably a lot more work to be done. I know some of you, will have seen some of the documentaries on TV, things like by Davina Nicole. A lot of celebrities have done an awful lot to bring this sort of more to the forefront. But equally, education's quite good now. Last year it was brought into the curriculum, so it's now taught in schools. So we're certainly making progress, but I think certainly we've got a little way to go.
Why do you think it's a taboo? Is it just about the sort of part of the body that it involves that creates that taboo? Why do you think that's the case?
It could be that, but I think also it's to do with the fact that women who are experiencing the menopause are experiencing kind of an awful lot of changes themselves in terms of their self-esteem, their confidence, and I think you mentioned in the intro about anxiety, and I think that sometimes means women are reluctant to talk about it. They don't feel quite as confident as they did in being able to approach and ask for help, and I think that's why there is still this little bit of taboo, and it's kind of opening up the doors and reassuring women that actually it's fine to go forwards, it's fine to ask for help, and that there's lots of help out there.
Those things, those sort of side effects that I mentioned, anxiety, heart palpitations, hair loss, things like that. Well, firstly, anything like hair loss is incredibly distressing for people to experience. But do some women perhaps do some women perhaps find it difficult to make the connection between feeling anxiety and the menopause? Because there's so many wild kind of symptoms there, side effects of it, that it might be quite difficult for some to actually attribute that to menopause being the cause.
Absolutely, and that's the case with an awful lot of women that I speak to, where they suddenly go, oh gosh, it was that all along. And in some respects, that's quite reassuring, because women are beginning to worry that there's maybe other things going on. You mentioned things like, brain fog and memory issues. Women start being concerned if they're developing dementia. It's sometimes it's good to kind of sit down and say, actually, everything you've mentioned is absolutely attributed to the fact that your hormone levels are beginning to lower, and therefore these are the side effects of that happening.
And what are those common treatments? I mean, most people listening will have heard of HRT, heard it as a term, but perhaps not necessarily know exactly what it is, how it is used as treatment, and the effect it has. What can you tell us about the way that people can get treatment for it?
So if we look at HRT, that's one of the options available, and it is what it says on the tin, hormone replacement therapy. So it basically is bringing back the levels of hormone that are beginning to kind of fluctuate a little bit and just helping to stabilise things. And HRT in this day and age comes in so many different forms. There's tablets, patches, there's gels, there's products that are actually used internally as well within the vagina. So there's quite a host of things out there. And then, of course, there's the non-HRT treatments. So there's some alternatives. There's lots of research into areas concerning things like acupuncture, cognitive behavioural therapy. So there's a huge amount to be explored. And actually, it's really important that women are given the opportunity to discuss and to address all those different options so they can make the right choice for them.
I'm thinking this is just an example of one thing, but I feel like the menopause is often often the punchline in jokes and things we see on TV, or it's sort of like
Yes.
when people talk about women of a certain age, then that the menopause becomes the punchline to that, and it's any sort of behaviour that they show is attributed to, well, it's because of the menopause sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? How unhelpful is that?
It's incredibly unhelpful, and it adds to the fact that women are very reluctant to admit potentially that that's what's happening to them. And the stereotypical women having horrible hot flushes, when they're out about and night sweats, and actually they're incredibly really difficult things that have a massive impact on life, and it is often made a joke of. And actually, that's a shame, because it really isn't helping women come forward and kind of address the fact that this is happening and it's really horrible and I need some help. But obviously, are very worried that they've come into that kind of time where, yes, people have generally always laughed about it and made fairly crude jokes.
But equally, like with other health conditions, like they're quite a no-go area for making fun of and making light of. This is a health condition that's, for some reason, there's a bit of almost a green light to make jokes about. Do you know what I mean? Like other health conditions, you wouldn't go there.
No, absolutely, and who knows why that is? It's maybe it's an easy target. Maybe it's because it's a natural process. All women are going to go through it. It's not life-threatening. It's sort of not in that same group as some of the other health problems that some of us can have. So maybe it's an easy target, and it probably feels like, oh no, it's not doing any harm. Making a joke out of it. But as I say, actually, there's huge amounts of women out there that are really struggling with this, and it can be an all-encompassing kind of life-changing transition for them. It's not something to make fun of, really. It's pretty nasty for some of us.
And finally, Katy, as somebody who works for the Women's Health Clinic, just point out if somebody is struggling with this, or perhaps they're a bit bewildered by the where to start when it comes to getting treatment, what would you say to them? What's the kind of first step?
So certainly you can get in contact with us at the Women's Health Clinic, and you'll be offered an appointment. You sort of have an initial free consultation, so a telephone consultation, just to see where you're at, what you're after, and how we can help you. And then you're offered, if you want to take it further, a virtual consultation with me, and we have an hour to discuss, what the experience is for that particular woman, and I can talk to them about, how we can help, and we make it far more individualised. So rather than just kind of going to your GP and getting a prescription, we can actually talk a little bit more in depth, because we've got the luxury of more time to really explore those issues and look at the health benefits of HRT as much as sort of controlling symptoms.
Well, thank you, Katy. I was about to say Happy World Menopause Day, but I'm not sure that's a thing that people actually say.
No, it's fine. If it's an excuse to eat cake, it's all good.
Okay,
I'm quite
good.
happy to say Happy Menopause.
Good. Well, enjoy. Thank you very much for talking to us this morning, Katy, and I'm sure that's provided a lot of people with a lot of help, so thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you.